First of all, there's a lot of concern that the United States is maintaining a constructive engagement policy with Turkey and Erdogan, even though he's proven to be an unreliable ally at times. Doesn't that create moral hazard for other allies like Greece or Cyprus? And is the United States going to continue this policy? And how do you feel, especially with violations of the CAATSA Act with regards to the S-400 missiles and the re-engagement by the Biden administration for bringing Turkey back to the F-35 program?
Well, you're right. It should be concerning to Greece and Cyprus. It's concerning to me because Erdogan is not a reliable ally, and in fact, he's more of a menace. He's cozied up to dictators. He is a dictator himself. His latest thing was praising or sending sympathy for killing of the leader of Hamas and saying we should invade Israel. So if he's willing to do that, you know he's not going to back off of his position with the Cyprus division issue or the attacks he kind of makes, whether they're military or not, in the Aegean against the airspace and that sort of thing where Greece is involved. We very much were opposed to Turkey getting the F-16s, but at least Greece has the F-35s, which are better and stronger. We want to be sure that the administration doesn't go down the road of bringing Turkey back into the F-35 program, and that's going to be the challenge in the next administration.
A question about Varosha or Famagusta. Famagusta, I don't know if you're familiar, but Famagusta is a sectioned off city in Cyprus.
Mm-hmm.
That there's a United Nations resolution from 1984 that it cannot be resettled, and the Turks have started resettling it, and there's been protests, but hasn't been any concrete action to stop it. Is the Hellenic Caucus doing something regarding that matter, or are you planning on doing something?
Well, you know, the talks about resettlement, reunification wane and wax over time. Sometimes they're going well, sometimes not. Right now they're not going so well. I think that is something that the caucus could look into, at least writing a letter calling on the administration to ask NATO to do something or ask the United Nations to do something, and to look into it to be sure that they don't just totally ignore the resolution and move back into the area.
And one last question is, what would you say to Greek Americans voting in this upcoming election? Why should they vote for you or for Democrats when it comes to Greek and Cypriot national security?
Well, I would say look at what has happened under the Biden administration. We have a strong relationship with Greece. We've invested a lot in defense with Greece. We've also helped to negotiate a number of energy contracts with Greece. And I would say also look at what Donald Trump says about our allies. Greece is a southern point, kind of the tip of NATO. Donald Trump wants to just get rid of NATO. He doesn't care. He told Russia, do whatever you want to. It doesn't matter to me. He's very transactional. He doesn't have any kind of respect for long-term allies, and Greece is certainly one of our longest and strongest allies in that region. So I would say think in terms of foreign policy when you're looking at U.S. relations with Greece, but also think in terms of domestic policy. I think the Greek American community here has a lot of small business, a lot of investments that will prosper from a Harris administration that will just be left to the sidelines by a Trump administration that only cares about billionaires. So I think all in all, Greece and Greek Americans will prosper under a Kamala Harris administration.
Working with the American Hellenic Council, we try to update the U.S. Congress with a lot of issues that we see that are problematic to Greece and Cyprus, based on the Turkish event. How do you think we should update you, or how can you help us, or how can we help each other to get information that we want to Greece and Cyprus? How can you, what information do you need from us to proceed with your mission?
Well, I value information. I'm a former teacher, and so I like to do my homework. So any kind of information you can give to us, either economically or what's happening internally in Greece, or with the relations with Turkey as you see them, is valuable. I work very closely with the embassies from Cyprus and Greece. The ambassadors are often in my office kind of telling us what they'd like to see. For instance, that Turkish movement into the F-35 program, they've said is just a red line. So we are getting input from your ambassadors, and it's very valuable.
We work a lot with the Hellenic Caucus, which you are partaking, and there are 5 other members. And we appreciate all the effort that you're doing with the Hellenic Caucus. And I was just wondering, is there anything that we can do to help the Hellenic Caucus pursue what we want to pursue with your efforts? Anything that we can address to the Hellenic Caucus?
Well, bring us your ideas for things for legislation or for resolutions or letters to the administration. You know, it's a bipartisan caucus, but on Greek issues, we are almost always united. Gus Bilirakis and
Sardonis.
He is leaving, unfortunately. We will miss him. But Pappas is there, and Maliatakis, and me. So we need to elect more Greeks. That's what we need to do.
The problem that we saw is with Menendez leaving.
Right.
Somebody has to fill in the gap, and he was proposing he was looking at 5 different areas, and in those particular areas that he was projecting assistance, is anybody filling in those areas?
Well, you know, I don't know what's happening on the Senate side. I don't think you found a champion like you had in Menendez. Who I would look at is Chris Van Hollen. You know, he's married to a Greek, and so I think he will pick up the charge there. And I knew him in the House, so we can work very well together.